Crusaders, what is up, man? I am so dang excited about who we have here sitting across the screen from me right now. Legendary drum tech to the stars, Kenny Sharretts. What's up, Kenny?
Nothing much, Kenny. How you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing so freaking fantastic. It's so funny. We were talking right before we started this career chat about how many years really we've been following each other and supporting each other's effort. Kenny does a lot of online drum tuning lessons and drum lessons, as well as helps mentor drum techs and other crew. And he's been a big supporter of what we've been building here in Crew Coach and you Crusaders. And so Kenny, I'm stoked to have you in here today in the career chat.
Dude, I'm stoked that we finally get to meet face to face in a sense in this situation, man. A testament to our class to each other that we've never hit each other up for backstage passes to meet. We're just like, nah, we're cool. We'll meet one day. We'll be at the venue working together. But it's a pleasure, man, because dude,
Yeah,
like
likewise.
we were talking beforehand, and like I've been experiencing in these last 3 years coming back from COVID, that mindset you were just talking about the positivity of it, about supporting each other, about lifting them up, has been a fundamental core to what of my success in my return
Yeah.
to the industry post COVID. It's changing the game. It's changing the game with unions. It's changing the game with the people I work with, and it's becoming the norm. And with a lot of the acts I worked with pre-COVID, it was this magical place, like this musical Disneyland that we live in, like, working with the Jonas Brothers, no pun intended. It's a different aesthetic. It's a different mindset.
Yeah.
And when you get there, all of a sudden, you're living and thinking in a different way. You're changing the pathways of your mind, which elevates you, which elevates your career, and opens opportunities you never thought existed in a career that you might be getting burnout on or just barely getting into, and getting scared of because there's so much to take in.
Yeah,
Uh,
and this is true. And this what we coach here on in Crew Coach. We have the four pillars, which is your career, your connection, your why to your career, your community, and your core. And all of that helps you be that example. Because I know you're like saying, well, it's kind of becoming the norm. To be honest with you, it's still far from the norm. I mean, in our worlds, because we are examples and we live that and we attract that. But majority speaking, there is still this big disconnect of just give a damn about the gift that what this career really
of
is.
what this career is. Okay, if you love this career, if you love music and you can't play it, but you get to tech it, or you've been in a theater production, you just like putting on a show and watching people's spirits lift and feeling the energy of
Yeah.
a large crew of people all together being happy, and then you're done with it going, whoo, that was the best day. Yo, you have to take advantage of what Kenny's talking about we're going to be talking about today, because a perfect example was this. I was out on tour with a band called the Decemberists, right after I was out on tour with Dead and Company. Now, I'd done 2 runs with Dead and Company, and the second one was magical. I came in with this really positive energy attitude, trained for it every day with a mask since we were going to be stuck in 100-degree heat with a mask. I trained for it. I mentally prepared myself for winning. Challenges that I had on the road before with my first tour with the Dead, I visualized while doing yoga, say on a hill. Instead of doing it on a flat place where you're comfy, go on a hill and be uncomfortable. Do it on top of a balance beam. Do your yoga and imagine that horrible situation. Because when you show back up next time, you're so calm. It's like it's slow motion. And you make great decisions, great choices, and you lead instead of react. And that has been the victory I've had. So with the Decemberists, I gig after gig after gig, the union people come up to me afterwards thanking me for my kindness and for how professional I was and how I let them do the gig, but also showed them respect, and we had fun. They said, Kenny, every single one of them said the same thing. We came back to this industry hoping that after COVID, we could change the way people looked at our unions, that we were nice guys and gals who were professional and want to win just as much as you want to win. Our tenants are great for you too. We're all good ideas. Win together, right? And they said the 3 tours beforehand just about broke us. Then you come in like a ray of sunshine, and I'm like, yes.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Kenny, because this is exactly obviously what we coach here in Crew Coach for being a Crusader. There's few of us, Kenny. I mean, you're one, I'm one, but majority is we all haven't turned yet. But however, there is a lot of people that wish they could be as open with their positivity. I call it, it's like there is a lot of closet positivity people out there where they're like, they come to me and Kenny and they're just like, dude, I love how positive you are. It's so great and everything. But then they just like reserve that around other people. But him and I, Kenny, and this is why I wanted him in the career chat today, because we're very not in the closet positive people, like
No.
way super open. And it's not always received in this industry. And a lot of people will tell you, oh, well, reserve your positivity, hold it in, rear back. And I'm like, Kenny and I are probably the same way. I'm like full blown, I'm going to be on optimism when it's storming,
Yeah,
and
so
super
is that.
positive and respectful and kind and cheerful and all of those things. Same things that we talk about here. But I love that the Crusaders are getting to see someone else in the industry of astute quality that is exactly like that. I told you guys I'm not the only one.
Well, the thing is you made a valid point. People are socially uncomfortable with being super positive, and rightfully so. Especially if you're doing like playback and computer stuff where it could still go wrong, because you're holding an artist's heart, soul, and mind in your hand, and those are three different things, and those things are important to creating the magic out of thin air that is the artist, the connection with the audience, that is big enough to warrant us having a career.
Yeah.
That's magic out of thin air. Somebody saw you sing a song on TV. All of a sudden, there's 60,000 people in an arena, town after town after town after. That is magic out of thin air. There's human beings at our finest, and we get to be a part of it. So the more you facilitate greatness in that, the more greatness happens. The more you facilitate a positive attitude, the more you're going to win. Because if you walk in like a jerk, you're a jerk, and everyone is free to be jerks, and then everyone's being jerks to each other. But I got stuck in an elevator with the gentleman, the actor, brilliant actor, was the president in 24. He's the Allstate guy. And I looked at him and said, I'm not going to bug you, because he had just been with a whole bunch of CEOs who were like, let's get the picture, let's get the picture. Seconds before midnight. And he's graceful and graceful and graceful. So I complimented him. I said, it's very graceful of you. And he goes, and I say this, I carry it with me everywhere. It never pays to be anything less. And I'm like, I got the voice and the truth. And it's true. It never pays to be anything less than graceful.
Yeah. And, I think in this industry, and I'll kind of like summarize it with this so we can kind of get to the meat of your career. But it doesn't matter what other people receive us as. I have been in complete camps where they've rejected me, the positive guy. And then I've been in the opposite, like with what I am now, is they actually love it. Like people gravitate to me to get some of this positivity from me because their days are rough. But I'll tell you this, it's not normal yet, but it is moving in the direction to where the negative, the old roadie mentality of saltiness and grumpiness is not received anymore, especially on the top tours, and is starting to get pushed away. And you'll find whole tours of grumpy people together, but like with what Kenny and I tour at, like with Jonas Brothers, Dead and Co, Janet Jackson, these type of things, that's getting pushed out.
Man.
That stuff's getting pushed out.
It's not a standard. It's a tool when the time comes for it. If somebody is getting salty in our camps that we like, there's a reason for it, and everyone snaps up. Like all of a sudden, we need a solution. We have a problem. Fix, done, boom. Saltiness ends.
Yeah.
So it has its place rather than it being the norm. If you're always a douche canoe, you're going to get nothing but douche canoe responses. And even in my time with the Dead and Co, where I've had a lot of positive experiences, I've had conflict too, and I've failed. I failed. I got pissed off, lost my temper, crushed my thumb, and I'm like, I load out, freaking out the locals, and I'm like, I didn't mean anything in my heart. You don't realize how people perceive you. But the problem is that people are waiting for you to suck. In our business, they're waiting for you to fail as a tech. They're waiting for you to suck as a loader. They're waiting for you to be mean. They're waiting for you so they could talk smack about you because they want to be unhappy. But science proves time and time again. I was just doing this stuff on the Calm app where they were talking about different studies that if you choose a positive mindset and at least take 20 minutes a day to focus that positive mindset in the morning and then go out and be your day, there is a 50% chance, a lot more likely chance that you will be happy and the people around you will be happy too.
You definitely need to do the internal work to have that emotional resilience and control, because our industry can easily fill your cup up quick and have you overflowing. Let me ask you, Kenny,
Go
Go ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
You're gonna say one more thing?
Quickly, before we get into the career thing, and this is an important thing technical, this is what I've learned.
This is the career
Our job is to solve problems in 6 seconds or less in front of 60,000 people, or we're probably sitting on a plane.
thing.
That is the level of pressure. Nobody's dying except our career and our egos, okay? It is your last show, but that's about the time we have before our artist questions their faith in us.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
at our level for sure.
our level for sure. So being cool, calm, collected, and prepared, what I call proactively reactive. And Kenny Aronoff took that phrase from me. He believes in it now. It's a philosophy now. If he likes it, it's real. It's true. Proactively reactive. And we'll get into this because it's been the key to my success. But putting yourself in that mindset means instead of being pissed about something or reacting pissed poorly, your mind is open for success. Your mind is open for solutions, which happen effortlessly, instantly, and you look cool doing it.
Yeah. Well, we call it living with intention here in Crew Coach. I mean, simply being intentional in each moment is the key to success, generally speaking. And
my gut, yeah, it is.
I understand what you mean proactively reactive, but reaction usually comes from a place of inaction first. And I always think that, like, if you're going to be reacting to something, you're not being intentional. And for us, it's all about being intentional here so you can actually bring solutions in that growth mind.
Well, see, that's the concept of what proactively reactive. With Kenny Aronoff, he was my very first client. We're going to get into the career here now. Somebody asked me.
Hold up. If we're going to get into the career, let's talk about this. Let's dive into this, Kenny. Let me get there with you, because first of all, you're the first drum tech we've had in Crew Coach to come do one of these. Actually, you're the first backline tech. We haven't had anybody that's done backline in all of this, because to be honest with you, I think we only have like one person in all of Crew Coach as it sits right now that is pursuing backline. Because I coach people in their career, and career principles are the same no matter what you want to do. It doesn't matter. And so, however, there is the path of choosing your intentions and being able to like actually build a career doing what you're doing. And so I would love to dive into that. We can talk more about some of the principles of career on the back end of this conversation. But I just want to know, where are you from, first of all?
Born in Buffalo, New York, raised in Houston, Texas, where I started playing drums at about 10, 11. Loved it, fell in love with it, went to college for it, then got my degree in business in Austin. Hook 'em Horns, graduated from UT, pursued my career here, and that's where, as a player, I blossomed into becoming a tech.
Okay, so when drums is the only instrument you play, or you play piano, or?
I play a little bit of piano, enough to tell a piano player, give them an idea of what the song I'm writing is, or to teach us intervals and help drummers learn what's going on, or program MIDI and stuff. I understand music. I have 2.5 years of theory. I'm just not a good piano player.
I understand. And so you didn't actually start working in events as a crew person until after college. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, I didn't start. I was a late bloomer. 31 years old
is when you started touring.
Absolutely. I ran into this cat named Trace Foster.
Oh, I know Trace.
Yeah, he's the best, right? He's my
mentor. I took his place at Bon Jovi.
Oh man, he's a wonderful cat, an incredible tech.
Yeah,
we met up in Austin. A friend of mine who had been my drum tech when my band was playing on 6th Street had gone out and done some tours, met Trace. Trace moved to Austin. He goes, "You two should meet." So we went, started writing songs together, playing music together, and we did a South by Southwest showcase where I was basically putting together the band for him, another guitarist, and the artist. I was like, ooh. So I took it seriously, bro. I had places for them to stay. I had transportation. I had PA for the rehearsal place, a rehearsal place. Everyone knew their parts. We had pre-rehearsals. Everything was ready. So we came in and crushed it. And he goes, this guy has what it takes. So he asked me if I wanted to go on tour with Kenny Aronoff. And sure enough, I went out there for no money. They paid me so little. I had no idea.
Well, I mean, that's okay. You got paid in huge ways.
Bro, I got paid to go to college. Valjean Liker, Howard Hopkins, Trace Foster. Those 3 cats alone are so legendary in our business and they taught me the ropes, dude. So when you get that kind of opportunity, if this is what you want to do, take it.
Yeah. So you were playing drums on the road already? doing
Uh,
tours or only really in the Houston area, Austin area?
Regional touring. I had never expanded.
Texas.
I worked with some great local artists, right?
Yeah. Texas
But I
has
was
its own music thing.
it's got its own thing. You could tour all around Texas, make a living. You play with original artists
Yeah.
Tuesday through Friday, and then Friday through Sunday, or Saturday, you play your cover band gigs that pay you money, and then Sunday you play at the Saxon Pub with the hottest original artists. That's just Austin,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was a thing where my career wasn't blossoming the way I'd hoped. My playing was good, but I wasn't in the right place, and man, I had the op to do it, and I'm like, I can go study.
Yeah. So did you feel like when you took the gig, because the first drum tech gig was Kenny Arnoff? I mean, that's a pretty big.
I had no idea what I was doing. Other than MIDI programming, which I learned in college, music theory, which was quite applicable, and surprisingly enough, things like Arabic studies, in terms of understanding another culture. So I knew how to understand other people,
Okay.
take them in and be them, not me, because it wasn't about me. Understanding marketing, my degree in marketing helped because it made me understand his endorsements and made me understand the pressure that was on his mind, how he's thinking.
Mhm.
Uh, and so those things prepared me for it, but nothing prepared me for the road. I had
Did
no
you
idea.
feel did you feel a bit of ego hit when you went to go do the crew stuff versus playing, or was it because Kenny Arnoff was a well-known enough drummer, like beyond your capacity, that you felt like no ego and that you were?
No, I was swinging for the fences, bro. I was swinging for the fences, but it was time for me to try something different, to see the industry. Is this what I wanted to do? So it being Kenny Arnoff made the difference. I was immediately submissive and I immediately opened my mind to learn because you
Of
don't know
course.
Jack. That's Aronoff, right? It
Yeah.
was the most humbling and beautiful freedom I had felt. It wasn't about me anymore. Take it out, your ego's out, you
Yeah.
know. And I remember specifically, I'd done a Zep tribute band with Kenny Aronoff, or with in Austin for many years. And so when Kenny was playing a Zep song, he wasn't really playing it right. He turned to me. He knew I had done a Zep band. He goes, "Or am I playing it wrong?" I said, "Actually, Kenny." He goes, "Well, then come play it." And I played it in front of him because he asked me to.
Yeah.
Created a bond between us because he knew he could trust me, that I understood where he was sitting, but that I did it in a way that he knew I respected. That this is Kenny Aronoff, bro. So I
Mm.
didn't just ham-hand it. I'm not going to open my mouth. Well, you're kind of wrong. No, you better know if you're going to open up your mouth with Kenny Aronoff.
Hmm.
But I did know. And it was a way to where it wasn't about ego or pride because, dude, immediately when you go out on the road, people are going to be derogatory to you. You don't know nothing because you don't.
Yeah.
People do one tour and they think they're, I'm a badass tour. You're nothing, bro. Do 8 or 9 years. You'll understand living with people on a bus. You'll understand how to get in and out of these venues, get along with your union houses, and win. Like daily winning. It's not just about the gig. It's about your life. How are you living your life?
It certainly is, and I'm glad you said that, because that's literally what we teach in crew coach.
I know. I love you guys. I love you, dude. You're awesome.
uh, appreciate that. So the Kenny Arnoff gig, you get out there. Was Howard Hopkins the production manager?
Yes, he was. He was
Okay.
awesome. He's the best. I love him,
Okay.
dude.
Yeah, because I did the Fray with Howard Hopkins.
Oh, okay. So I did a tour with Train, the Fray, and Matt Nathanson, and the Fray bunch are wonderful people. What a
Yeah.
great bunch of cats.
Yeah.
They're a
Yeah.
hoot.
It
And
was it
Howard
was
was taking
it
care of
was
me.
a good time, and Howard was out there. And so at that point, you did the one gig. You did that first tour with Kenny Arnoff, and what band was that?
Melissa Etheridge.
That was Melissa. Okay, because I know Kenny's played with quite a few people.
Yeah, this was his Melissa days, and then
So
yep.
you got that gig through Trace, though.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
Because of that relationship that you had made with Trace. So after the Melissa Etheridge gig ended, how did you get your next gig? What did that look like?
All right. So during my time with Kenny Aronoff, I made friends with every A&R rep I could because I was with Kenny Aronoff.
Yeah,
So I
man.
was allowed to. Now, when you're coming up with a young artist, beginning artist, kindness and coolness is a great way to make great friends with all those A&R cats because knowing them can help your career down the road grow. Then, when I made friends with people at the venues or other drum techs, especially when I did festivals and met other drum techs, go meet people, go be
Oh yeah,
friendly, go take numbers, and the ones you like, connect with, talk to them.
build a
That that
relationship.
yes, do the networking, it's worth the extra effort. Drink a little extra coffee, sleep a little more, drink less. Win. and go make that connection, because the people I met during my first 2 tours with Kenny Aronoff preceded the greatness and success of my career 7 years down the road, and I'll tell you why. My second tour with Kenny Aronoff was with Michelle Branch. So I did the first tour, and I was like, I love it. And I went back playing my ass off because I studied under Kenny and practiced the whole time, learning the Melissa show. Had great gigging, but then Kenny was like, I need you. We're doing Michelle Branch. And it was awesome, dude. My band had just flown to New York to play CBGB's in the Continental, and then went to a hotel and started doing shows with Michelle Branch. I was like, rock star life, right? And everybody I met, I had the best time connected with. And then I did not understand the politics of touring, and I got fired.
Okay.
And being stupid and in the wrong place at the wrong time, and all of a sudden the artist's brother became a drum tech. Now,
So what did you get fired for?
politics is what I like to call it. Okay. Yeah. Remember this: when you get in there, your secretary, you're nobody. You're just a dude pushing cases. The guy who designed the building and designed the wiring for the arena that you're setting up in, now that cat's got some shit going on. Excuse my language. That guy's got some stuff going on. Okay, that cat's kicking it. The guy who created the bond for the funding for that arena, hey, your show came in. Yeah, that guy's kicking, man. How about the guy who did the processing of the promotion? Oh, and the radio station connections. Those people kind of going on. You pushed a case in the shop, bro. You set up some drums. Show's going on. Chill. And you learn, don't rub people the wrong way, and you won't get fired.
So it wasn't politics; it was relationships, because you rubbed someone the wrong way.
And there's a lot of times there's substances out there where you're in the wrong room at the wrong time. You get blamed for it. Even later tours, I'm sitting next to people doing things on a bus. You get pulled into it. So
Okay, like what? What was specific? But the reason why I asked is because usually you don't just get fired because.
Oh, dude, I'm a super positive and high energy guy. People already think I'm on drugs.
Yeah.
If you're standing next to somebody doing drugs and I'm all, hey, everybody, I'm a positive guy, you're on drugs too.
Yeah. Okay, so they just assume you were on drugs.
Is important. The company you keep is important.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Back to the relationship thing. So you were running with the wrong group out there on this Michelle gig.
Well, the whole thing, it's not that the wrong crew. I guess the best, most professional way to say it, my friend, is politics. And that's the best way to say it, the politics of relationships. Because there's a lot of people who do drugs out in the rock and roll world who have great relationships and don't get fired for doing drugs. There's people who don't do drugs but have bad relationships with people, and they get fired.
And that's what happened to you.
Yeah, and that's the bottom
line. But they
line.
blamed it on drugs.
It doesn't really matter what they blamed it on. I think the thing I'm politely trying to say is that something turned sour politically, and I no longer had a job, and I learned from that lesson to be sharp on your game. Don't put yourself in the wrong position so anyone can judge what you do or not. And that way you are prepared to not lose your job, because you got to be on point out here. The thing is, we're expected to do our jobs sometimes with no sleep. I remember doing the, what do you call that? The Bad Boys reunion show at Barclays. And I literally had 1 hour of sleep between when I woke up and when we actually did the Barclays show, including doing Good Morning America. Or Today, Today Show.
Today Show. Yeah, the 2 a.m.
I did the Today Show with Sergio, y'all. It was awesome. I don't know if you ever seen Get Him to the Greek, but Puff was in the movie. It's a funny movie. His character, Sergio.
Yeah, I only ask that stuff because that's the stuff that we work on here in Crew Coach, is navigating those types of nuances on the career. Because, you know, getting a gig is easy. Keeping a gig is a whole other thing. Getting the right gig is a whole other thing. And, you know, it's important for us to understand, like, when you say, well, it's politics, but the reality is it wasn't politics, it was the relationships that you had, your lack of being sharp, your lack
of... you don't get along with the people doing drugs, you get fired for doing drugs. How about that? That's the best way I can say it.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was some sides, and you chose the wrong one.
Yeah, man, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But anyways, it was some of that was my own choices and behavior. I learned from my lessons. I think that was the key.
Yeah,
I learned from my lessons.
Yeah, that's the key for sure. That it's you know, we put ourselves in these different positions. You knew now that you were like, well, I'll no longer kind of do that. Like, just because my friends that I like out here are doing drugs, I'm not going to go defend it.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you what, man, put yourself in the right positions, do what you do, and live your life the way you want to. And if you learn to get along with people, most people don't give a damn as long as you win.
Yeah, as long as you're showing up consistent and disciplined and sharp and not sloppy and
Yeah,
not being
that's
a
the
dick
key,
and
man.
yeah.
I believe they call it "Don't let your slip show." You know,
So
don't
what
let your
happened? You got let go and then
Oh
what?
yeah, I was fired, man. I went home woke for a bit, cried. But I loved teching, and what I did, I loved playing. So I went back to playing a whole lot. Got a great gig in town with a great artist, George DeVore. Played a lot. Was picking up gigs with a lot of cover bands, a lot of other original artists. I was barely making a living playing, but then the opportunity came to work with a band called Smash Mouth. And it was great because it was kind of a weekend warrior thing. So I got to do both of what I loved. And this is something that I talk to a lot of people about if they want to do a career in this. A lot of times there's some part-time weekend warrior stuff you can find that help give you the skills and connect you with the people that could turn it into a real career. So don't snub your nose at it.
Mhm.
Because I was doing weekend warrior work with them, getting a great about a week's worth of solid pay, like real rock star tour pay. I'm like, hey, and still playing for a living and teaching and doing my thing.
How'd
And
you get that gig?
with the people I met on my first two tours with
Okay.
with Kenny Aronoff, and
Okay.
I made good relationships
And you
along the way.
maintained them.
Yes, I did. There was a couple of cats. One specific being a drum tech, Chris Oxett, and I met Chris Oxett at a festival with Michelle Branch. It was the Wango Tango in Pasadena. And I was being nice to another drum tech and helping him tune because that's one of my skills. And he was having a problem with the snare drum making a buzz with the tom, so we fixed the snare drum. And I taught the guy as we fixed it. I was kind. And this drum tech, Chris, turns to me and goes, "You know your shit. You know what you're talking about, man." And we talked and we traded numbers and we stayed in touch. And I called the guy once in a while and text him and just stayed in touch, bro. And when that opportunity came up, my name went into the hat and I got the gig.
Yeah. Okay.
And I
Great.
got
That's a great lesson for these folks to understand is that it's a relationship game. Any way you look at it, you got to maintain those relationships, and he certainly did that. How long did you maintain that relationship before that gig came to be since you met him?
about a year plus, just
Year
touching
plus.
base here and there. I wasn't a pain in the ass who go, "Hey man, if you know
Of
any
course.
gigs," I'd actually call them and just find out more about. So what do you do? Who do you work with? And what do I need to know more? I'd say, "Hey man, talk about this. I'm gonna buy you dinner when I see you," and I did.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know
There
what I'm
you go.
saying? And the funny thing is that relationship continued on through touring. The more I toured, the more I stayed in touch with my bro. When I got a gig, and then he called me to fill in for a gig for him, and I covered it like a month and a half with Peter Frampton. So and succeeded at that, and then went and did an American Idol gig where I show up in L.A. I'm succeeding on my own. He's like, "Look at my buddy go," and so we hung out some and bonded. So when later I needed to go back to touring to look for a job, and I called two people. One was my buddy from Smash Mouth, the bass player tech, and the other was Chris Oxett, and they were sitting on the back of a bus deciding who was going to take Chris's place on Stevie Wonder.
Oh, wow.
I called them both, and they were like, "Well, I guess we have our answer."
Yeah.
Networking, bro, it's everything. Staying on point with the
Yeah.
people that matter to
Relationships.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, your relationships. I love Kenny. I'll just tell you one thing that I delineate is between networking and relationships. To me, networking is all surface level. You connect with people, you're in their network, but you can't sit there and refer everybody in your network because you wouldn't do that. You got to know, like, and trust people. Like Chris and the Base Tech, they know, like, and trust you enough. That's because you're deeper in the relationship. Too many people are out networking and they're not deepening the relationships within their network. I look at networking as like the tip of the iceberg, you know?
Oh, it's a door opener that created a relationship that
Yeah.
lasted for a year. And then once that opportunity came up, I kept working it, and every time I'd check in with him, and he'd be like, "Hey, I'm in the same town you're in about a week, dude. Let's hang out." And we go hang out and go grab some
Yeah.
lunch and talk. And man, I've met so many wonderful people that way. Like,
Yeah.
just develop great relationships with people where I know on this planet I'm gonna leave some great memories. We all
Yeah.
die, bro. It's gonna end. This ain't happening forever. This is one of the reasons I started my YouTube channel. I know what I do as a drum tech is different than most people. It's special, and I want this information to live on in a legacy versus just die with me.
That's right.
And so you have an opportunity to create great memories with people along the way. You get to travel all over America, all over the world, and create relationships with people. To all of a sudden you realize, like I did one day, hanging out with Janet Jackson's crew. My first tour with her, and we went to Japan, and I went to a bar called Rock Rock
Oh,
in
yeah.
Osaka, and my picture is on the wall with a whole bunch of people, and like one of their Polaroids, all, "Hey," after a Summer Sonic. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh my goodness, I have friends around the world,
around
and
the
you,
world, man.
yeah, bro,
Yeah.
and you'd be surprised how resourceful those people could be and come to your bat if it's a real relationship, dude.
Yeah, if it's a real relationship and you're continuing to maintain that. So, speaking of which, you get the Stevie Wonder gig immediately after, or not immediately after, but once when you started, you were playing for a while, then you got this Stevie Wonder gig. Was that the first one that Chris got you after Michelle Branch and playing?
No, actually, it went a year with Melissa, a little bit of time with Michelle Branch, a year with Smash Mouth. And then when that started to become a place I didn't really want to be at anymore, I loved my Smash Mouth crew, but I needed more. I wanted a better career path. I was blessed with the opportunity to work for Joss Stone. And I got the Joss Stone gig because I was persistent. Somebody else had already gotten it, but they failed. And I kept calling a week into somebody already getting the gig. And when he failed, mine was the call that got through first. And the reason I was chosen, I worked for Kenny Aronoff and Joss like that.
Right. Yeah, no doubt, man. You had a lot of leverage. And who were you reaching out to? The production manager or?
Yeah, the production manager, monitor engineer. He was kind of the guy that whose number had come across my path because I had just stayed in touch with people.
Yep.
Stayed in touch with people, man. Even when I had a gig, I stayed in touch with people. I didn't just blow these wonderful people I met off. I realized this is an opportunity to create greatness everywhere you go.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's a key thing. I mean, building the relationship web is key. It's the reason I tell these crusaders all the time. It's the reason why I haven't actually called for a gig in over 15 years. They just keep coming because of the relationships that we have.
Oh, dude, without a doubt.
After this Josh Stone gig, well, first of all, why did you feel the compelled to leave Smash Mouth? I know you felt like you got to a kind of a point of growth, but like, what do you think it was? Was it personalities, or you just wanted to see what else?
Sometimes as a tech, you end up getting too close to the band. It becomes uncomfortable. And during my last couple of months there, I had some personal stuff happen in my life, which was really challenging. And it created weird energy with the band. But at the same point in time, they played a talk show that one of the band members didn't really enjoy the host of and didn't like the opinions this host expressed. And so he didn't want to do this radio show. But the band leader, God rest his soul, thought it was a good idea. And so during the process of them getting him there eventually to play the show, the thought of me playing the drums was drafted across the board. And I immediately called my artist. I'm like, oh, that's great, sir. And I immediately called Michael, said, you need to get on a plane, bro. But because that happened, I was no longer comfortable in my gig. And the drummer was no longer comfortable with me. And we're still friends to this day. He was one of my favorite drummers in the world. I love him. He's one of my idols. Probably one of the greatest drummers I've ever worked for. So good. Yeah. And he was one of my idols. He was with so many bands. He was like one of my idol drummers. I studied him. And so to work for him was a pleasure. But when it became uncomfortable, I no longer felt comfortable. And I wanted something more than just a weekend warrior. It was getting sour. You didn't know if the band was going to go anywhere. You didn't know if the career was going to continue. There's a lot of infighting. And you're like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that, because here in Crew Coach, we talked about taking agency with your career, having command of it, and understanding that you're not working for these artists, you're working with them because you have your own career going on here. And I love the self-awareness at these pinnacle moments, because I've had the same thing where it's like you get to a point where you start to go, okay, am I in command of my career? Where am I?
My career in command of me. Yeah, where's my loyalty?
My loyalty always needs to be to me.
Yeah, you don't want to shrieking in an elevator, upset about something, going, but I work for Smash Mouth. You know, screw that. You don't work for Smash Mouth. You work for you.
That's right, and you work with Smash Mouth.
Work with you and create magic out of thin air. Your job is to support the artist so they can shine their brightest.
That's right. So you can shine your brightest too, because you as your role. I always like to say, like, the top level of your career is a connection to the craft. You've probably heard me say that. And that's the truth. Like, I look at you as somebody that like is on their own stage, and that you are your own artist in what you're doing. You know,
I think so.
Yeah, it's the same thing with anyone that's truly connected to a career, and they're not just having a gig, but they're actually building a career. It's like you are just complimenting the artist's career because they're complimenting yours. So good stuff. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm recovering from a torn rotator cuff surgery, and so I had to shut the machine off, but it's not comfortable always turning.
Yeah, I bet, man. Well, I'm just so glad that you showed up here. And also, isn't it your birthday today?
Dude, it's my birthday, but if you think I'm gonna,
Happy birthday.
thank you. I'm not gonna turn out a chance to talk to you on my birthday. We could do this on my birthday, dude.
I know, right? I feel the same way. Well, happy birthday. My birthday was a few days ago.
I know.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like our
How
birthday
about it?
party.
That's good stuff, man. Well, and so you moved on from Smash Mouth and you got the Josh Stone opportunity. How
What
long
a,
did that last?
almost a whole year. It started like early summer. We did a European tour, including about 5 gigs in. We did Live 8, bro. My
Wow.
third gig with her, or second gig, my second or third gig with her was Bonnaroo.
Hi, okay.
Hey, dog. And I mean, I'm sitting there, we're on stage with like, just incredible acts. The point being,
Yeah.
it's Bonnaroo. And then in like 4 shows later, we're in London for 2 weeks of rehearsal and Live 8.
Yeah.
Live 8, dude.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Oh my God. And again, here's the thing. At that point in time, my mindset was to be as the best. I could be on point, here to win, the best I could be, because by being the best I could be, I'm being the best for my artists, and they put trust in me, and I develop a career in a place I could be myself and enjoy working and not be sweating. I'm gonna have a job if I trip on stage. No, you develop a relationship and trust, right?
Yep.
And dude, I remember sitting there on stage with Live 8 and just with the confidence and taking it in. I mean, in the moment, I hear this thing happen. I'm like, that didn't just happen, and I turn. If I'd been just all lollygagging on my brain and not paying attention to my gig, I wouldn't have noticed that the bass drum pedal shattered on the one beat. And because I'm a musician, I noticed it sounded like, oh, he had a hip hop drop, except he don't do a hip hop drop there. I'm like, it's crushed. And I reach in, I thought it just slid out. No, it broke. And I had to rip it out, put another one in, and it all happened in like a 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah.
16 bar, of
Yeah.
a nice upbeat little funk thing. So when he came back in on the one, it was there on the one.
Hell
Boom.
yeah.
It sounded like he meant it. Thank God.
Hell yeah.
But you're like a billion people. I
Yeah.
don't have time to think about it. I don't have time to question it. And I don't need to freak out and knock stands over. I just need to execute
That's
the
it.
task. And it's about, like you said, being on point, being the best you could be, knowing we got to win. Don't
Yeah.
look away. Don't look away.
Yeah, man. Big show or small show, you got to bring that sort of care, and professionalism. And that's literally what we're here for. I always like to say, like, it's not when the gigs are smooth and easy that proves you're good. It's
Well,
under those circumstances that you get to come out and show your skill set.
Well, see, that's the thing. And see, I think we have different words for the same thing, but this is where my concept of being proactively reactive came in. Because as we rolled the riser up, both times when we moved it in both positions, I ran over my backup sure. I went over the thing, what's going to happen if this. I mentally went over. I even had a bass drum head in case it broke. I mean, good luck. But
Yeah.
I had already mentally gone through fixing it in front of the kit. I had
Yeah.
mentally replaced the bass drum pedal. So when it happened, I'm like, oh, it's done. And
Yeah.
I didn't even think about. I just did it, and that's what I'm talking about. Preparing. I think you were talking about being so
Being
prepared. You're
intentional.
not reacting. You are simply executing.
Yeah, you're being intentional because of the preparation.
Intentional is your word. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
No, that makes complete sense. Proactively reactive. Speaking of which, after the Joss Stone thing ended, what did you do next? How did you bridge the gap to the next
Oh,
gig?
gosh, gee golly. I did. What did I do? I did Joss Stone. Then after Joss Stone, I did. I did Kelly Clarkson. Then I did a 2-month thing in Kelly Clarkson in Europe. I flew right back to the same stage I had just done my last show with Joss, stage right. So this career must be meant for me, and literally did a gig, like walked in, here we go. Oh, show starting, 1, 2, 3, 4, go. And packed a drum kit that night, figured out the pack, but because of your experience, understanding how the industry works and learning, you just flow right in. Everyone was like, great. Because that crew was burnt. That crew was burnt. 2006?
That's the name of the gig?
No, that was Kelly
Oh.
Clark.
Oh, that was Kelly. Okay, that was
Yeah.
Kelly in 2006. Oh, yeah, okay.
And I came in and covered for a drum tech, and they were all great people. They were just burnt on the drum techs failing.
Yeah.
So, hey, dog, you better win, otherwise you get kicked, dog. I was a good old number 7, dog.
Yeah. Man.
I didn't even have a name. I was number 7. And then I did a quick run with Peter Frampton, and this is where intentionality is. No, that was just Peter Frampton with Ollie. What was his name? Euler. I gotta think about his name. He's a really wonderful production manager. Well, I just did a month, so I'm trying to remember the name.
Right.
If I was thinking about it without pressure, I'd be like, I know your name. And then I was supposed to go back out with Kelly, but she changed players,
Okay.
and they wanted their own tech. So I'm like, oh, I'm at a gig.
Yeah.
I'd even gotten a friend, the guitar tech, half of my gig, so they had a good guitar tech for Corey Churko. And I was like, oh no, I just killed myself all gig. No gig for Kelly.
Yeah.
So I found a gig with American Idols, and the way I got it, and I'm going to share this with you because this matters in Crew Coach.
Yeah.
This matters, and so you can understand what I'm saying about getting a job. When you get a job, sometimes you have to say the right thing and believe in yourself. And I'm interviewing with the legendary Graham Holmes, and he talks like this, right?
Yeah.
It's really a bit imposing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want to rowdy with me, do you? And you're like, is this pirate going to kill me in the middle of the conversation? And he said, well, we really want someone from LA. You got a place to stay. Well, my best friend in life was out there. He said, you can sleep on my couch for the 2 weeks. I'm like, great. You got a car? I said, dude, I will rent a car. And I have miles built up. I will fly in because I need this gig. Bro, smartest thing I ever did, man. I went in there and I won for 2 weeks, and they got me a hotel room at the park, brought me in. And the way I got the gig was, I told him I do all the stuff. And he goes, well, we really want someone from LA. So, I'll call you back after I check with them. And I said, why don't you skip that step? He goes, what step? I said, the step where you go check somebody else, you hire them for a week, and then they fail and you end up hiring me. That's my last 4 gigs. Let's not do that. Let's go straight to hiring me.
Yeah.
And he laughed, that Graham laugh where, did I just get the gig? Yo, I was on I booked a flight the next day, dude.
yeah. That's the way to do it. Oh, stop right there, Crusaders. Listen to what he just said. Fortune favors the bold, my friends. Express your dreams and your desires. Step into your confidence. Say what you want and what you mean. It's just people on the other end of these conversations.
Exactly. Dude, had I known who Graham Holmes really was,
you might have been more reserved.
Oh, I wouldn't have been swinging, so I had no idea. Oh, you can talk to me like this, are you? No, hire me.
I backed out of a Graham gig. He actually agreed to hire me on for Carrie Underwood, and then I backed out and took the Jonas Brothers instead. So
that's okay. They understand, man. The hard part is when you have choices like that, usually the artists understand and you go to the right place. There have been a lot of great offers during my time with Dead & Company, but when I got the gig with Mickey Hart, one of the legends of the Grateful Dead. Okay, it's the Grateful Dead, bruh.
Yeah.
And he I started with him, he's 78, he just turned 79 or 75, 76, now he's 79, almost 80. Bro, I knew that I'm there for a reason. The universe put me here to kick ass for this guy.
Yeah.
Be the best, because it's a hard gig. It ain't an easy gig. It's a demanding gig. It brings out everything that I've ever been as a tech. And so to have that opportunity to work for someone of that legendary status to where, I mean, dude, when you win with him, it's the best, dude. The reward is there.
I saw a variety of photos and videos of that setup, man. That looked robust. It was probably one of the biggest percussion and drum setups you've had.
Oh, it's hands down the biggest one. And it's the most demanding. It's not just drums. And this is something that, anybody who's not doing backline will learn to understand and respect is that, bro, like I came in with my risers for the back wall, which is 20 foot wide, 4 foot deep riser dedicated to about 165 instruments. And I carried I'd probably say about 45 instruments, 50 instruments, but I had about 65 to 70 different variations out there with me that I could make up at any moment when my artist wanted, boom. And they were all tuned to the sequences that were on his beam that were running in 3 different keys. So most of my setups were designed to be musically adaptable to 3 different keys in the fly. We had 2, and then right in rehearsals, he has a marimba, what is called a balafone. It's a gourd instrument. Okay. Basically marimba with natural resonant gourds.
Right. Okay.
So beautiful. I helped him pick it out. It was so fun. Okay. But now you're developing your wall. And it was huge, dude. But we got that thing down in the wall and practiced in the truck 22 minutes on average every night.
Amazing.
And I developed these clamps that were rubber lined that secured your racks to the risers. So we just roll them in.
Yeah.
And it trimmed my pack. And I did that not just for myself, but for my video crew, my lighting crew, my audio crew to get out of the way faster, get out of the way. That's our job.
That's right.
What's it like to be a backline tech? Well, you get out of the way a lot. You
Right.
wait, and then you're
Right.
told to get out of the way.
That's right. And stuff's coming dropping right on you. My
Right
Guitar
on
World
you,
right
brother.
now with this gig is right in the forklift position that gets up on stage. And so my loadout to get Guitar World out of the way is like a minute and a half because here comes the lighting carts. You know.
Bro, it's important though, and
It is.
that's how they know if you respect them because you come to play, man. And
Yeah.
so it is all about the out for us because the quicker we're gone, the better for everybody else. But also with someone like Mickey Stature, you know, you have to have that balance. I do things proactively, like the feet and planning my cases and plotting it and having the measure. I measure case by case with a tape measure. Had the perfect pack going. Took about 2 shows. Got it. And when we got it, we have a whole semi for our drums. And we had like 6 feet at the back on the right hand side and 2 feet on this side, all open space, which is a rarity with the day. But we got that down 22 minutes because
Yeah.
I planned it. I planned it so these legendary instruments are protected.
No
You know,
doubt.
for anyone here who's not backline, remember this, especially if it's a van. If you drop a light on Slash's guitar, it's not his tech who's going to be talking to Slash about why that guitar got destroyed if there's impatience involved on your part.
Yeah.
And that's not your tour job. That is your job with PRG.
Yeah.
And that's all the jobs over there. So backline is your key to success, longevity in places like PRG because you're the cat who gets along with backline, gets in and out, and gets it done. That's the cat they want on the big tours like Jonas Brothers. They want harmony.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I'm trying to remember where we were in the timeline, but I
Well,
do.
the timeline, we were at American Idols.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right at the end of American Idols, I was a little burned. I didn't want to go out, but I had promised my good friend John Dunleavy from Smash Mouth to go do 30 Seconds to Mars with the awesome Jared Leto.
Okay.
I did Taste of Chaos on a punk rock tour after doing all these bougie A-level tours and had the best time. It was raw. It was rough. But you know what? Win.
Yeah.
Win.
Yeah.
Win. And everyone told me how horrible it was, and that was one of those where sometimes I had to fight back for my success. People hiding your amps, running off with your equipment, trying to unplug your stuff in the middle of the show because their band's better. But all the younger bands, those are the ones I mentored. Mentored their drum techs, mentored their engineers, helped their guys when they got drunk and left a bag of cymbals behind. Guess who picked it up?
Of course. So what did you do after that gig? Which by the way, I've done that before myself, where I've been at the top, where I've taken a step back to go and do something that is fulfilling for me in my career path.
Bro, working for Jared Leto was one of the most challenging but enjoyable experiences of my life. Tomo, I love you forever. If you ever see this, I love you, dude. Those guys are great. They're challenging. It wasn't the gig for me.
Yeah.
I had the best time working for them. And after that, I took a break, was playing with my band. My wife was booking it. We were packing gigs in Austin. It was happening, but it wasn't super happening. It was illusion of happening. A flood came, took all our work away for the summer. And then I'm like, I got no money. I need to start touring. Even my wife, who was tired of me being on the road, said, you need to cast out the net. I made 2 phone calls. Chris, Kevin, Stevie Wonder. The next 5 years with Stevie Wonder. When I was with Stevie, it was like working for Santa Claus. There was nothing like it. But when Chris Oxett called me and said, I got to go to Madonna. Can you please come do Rihanna for me? I was like, so I took Rihanna, bro. And again, if I had not, on my second tour at Wango Tango, been nice to someone, showing them how to fix their snare drum and making friends with Chris Oxett on the side, I would not have gotten Rihanna in 2011 after my 2003 experience with Chris.
Right. Yeah.
That's a long arc, bro.
Yep, that's a long arc. Remember that, folks. I have this one story that I tell the Crusaders about a 15-year relationship that I nurtured before it produced an opportunity.
Dude, Howard and I did our first tour together, and we didn't get to tour again until recently in 2018 with Elvis Costello. Did a couple of years with Elvis with him when I needed to be home. Elvis's schedule fit mine. I was like, yeah. So we did that.
Yeah.
It was
He
a blessing.
called me to do that actually for a one-off recently.
Oh, awesome, man! Yeah.
I do drum teching, but not like it's been a little while. But What was next for you though? At that point,
Oh,
you did
I
you
did 3 years of Rihanna, two of
yeah.
them as a drum tech. The third one, Chris came back to do the gig because he was doing all this custom work. And the company liked me, so they moved me over to keyboard tech because I've been training all the young keyboard techs, which were these up and coming young techs that Adam Blackstone was bringing in. So I was showing them the ropes, and they'd move on to other gigs or weren't quite ready for Rihanna. So they just made me the keyboard tech, and my MIDI skills there. This is what I'm talking about. Be prepared for everything: lighting techs, video techs, audio techs. Double up your skill set because one day you're going to be doing RF, one day you're going to be doing a different kind of lighting, one day a new kind of video wall is going to be up in front of you. You got to skill it up now, not yesterday. Now, 20 minutes from now, line check's going. Let's do it. You got to be
keep up with
multifaceted.
your craft.
Keep up with your craft. Look at everybody else's. Learn other stuff to help them be better. It helps you be better. You might become an audio guy one day and find your true calling. You don't know. But if you're doing backline, having all the skills wins. I did a year as their tech or keyboard tech. Got my face shattered out on the road.
Mm.
Was running under the stage to get to the other side to fix something that broke before it went up.
Yeah.
And it turned out I misunderstood. It wasn't broke. He had just couldn't find his scarf.
Oh gosh. And then what happened?
I ran face first in one of the stage pylons because somebody flashed a flashlight in my eyes trying to make sure I didn't run into Rihanna. I'm like,
Right.
I already watched her go in the dressing room. That's why I'm going this way.
Security guy flash.
Blinded me. Boom, right into a stage. Shattered my face here, 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 here. Cracked both orbitals, and I had a concussion that was really bad. I just didn't know it. So I worked until they realized you need to go home. They took care of me. God bless you, Rock Nation. They got me fixed up. And by the time I recovered, the tour was done, and I picked up a gig with Train from my friend from Joss Stone. We had hoped to work together. We were Ryan Huddleston. I love you. We were best friends out on Joss Stone, and we got to be best friends on Train. Rock Train for 2 years. But the same kind of thing I was dealing with at the end of Smash Mouth started showing up at the end of Train.
Was Josh Gaunt out there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I replaced him with Bieber.
Yes, Josh was out there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It was an interesting camp, but there again, bands are different than artists. And this is what people, lighting people in video sometimes don't understand is that when you're backline tech working for, Lady Gaga, it's completely different from a drum tech working for Train.
That's right. Bands are different than hired guns.
Bro, different worlds, different personalities, different expectations, different politics. And I think in that gig, the hardest part for me was I'd come from places like Stevie Wonder and Rihanna. So a lot of the guys there, the one thing I consistently heard, and I heard when I was let go, was that we always thought you were above us. And I'm like, Train. My wife and I had never done a road trip without singing Train at the top of our lungs, at least crushing 2 albums to East Texas, 2 albums back. I was so lucky to be working for them. Loved it. Thought perhaps one of my favorite singers of all time. What a great singer, right? But the tension of what goes on in camp sometimes, doesn't matter what reason is happening, is not always your vibe. And eventually it became not my vibe. And I was like, oh, which was fine because here's the thing. When this goes down, always hold your head up high. Understand sometimes things just change. It may not even be anything personal. They made it personal. The word's on the way out the door in October, first week of October. You know what that means to a backline tech. We unemployed till Jingle Ball.
Yeah, probably.
And then we got to do a Jingle Ball tour. What's harder than Vans Warped Tour? Jingle Ball, bro. You crushed.
I did it with Bieber, yes.
It's so much fun, but you're so exhausted when you're done. You're so torn and worn. And a lot of diminished expectations. You're like, well, I'm used to it being this good. It's like, well, today, dude, you got a pedal and a guitar. Get it. And you're like, oh, rock on, sir. But man, dude, relationships. My relationships with Stevie Wonder and Rihanna. I made good relationships. I was out of work. I was upset, but I was like, don't be a jerk. And they said on the way out, we always thought you were above us. But I'm sure someone like you will find work. I'm like, dude, I never said anything about who I worked for, but egos got so fragile that they were all like, oh, you work for Stevie Wonder. If I said anything that doubted their authority, it got stressful. And I had not really learned yet how to circumvent that. When I went out on Janet, I grew a lot and learned a lot because...
Was that your next gig?
A week later, yeah, after making a few phone calls and touching base, I got to send an email to them gracefully saying, "Hey, man, got a few things of yours I'd like to return that were in my work box. I'm not a thief. I want you to have all your stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yours, sir, yours truly, Kenny Sharretts, drum technician,
Jen.
Janet." Dude, that was the best work day of my life. A
Yeah,
week
yeah,
after, this guy was totally rude and mean and abusive, but I held my head high.
yeah.
Smile, positive energy. That was, see, that
Always
was
go
the
over
hardest
well.
part. That was the hardest part. All's well that goes well. That was the thing. Well, part of what ruined this, and this is, we'll get back to this because we talked about this in the beginning. Sometimes positive energy freaks people out, and that's actually what was my undoing on
Yeah.
training. That's why I learned sometimes enough is enough,
Happened to me with Chris Isaac, man. I know.
right?
Same
So
thing.
we show up in the UK for the first time. Train's been there for the first time in like 3 years. But Train also has the biggest hit England had ever seen up until Blinding Lights, okay? With Hey Soul Sister. It
Oh,
was
wow.
a cell phone ad thing. It was the biggest hit. It was bigger than the Beatles had ever been.
Yeah.
Huge Antor hit. So he's all worried and stressed. And it created all this anxiety and stress. And everyone was stressing. And when we showed up at the hotel manager, the hotel bartenders, and two of the people and the staff walked out, gave me hugs. Kenny, because I had lived in this hotel for like 2-3 years of my life over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
The bartender set us up with drinks. What's everybody want? I got first round. And they're all like, we got free drinks? Screw this guy. All my friends showed up with all the things they needed, supplies they needed. You know, oh, you forgot this cable. Everything showed up that day. We're all having a great time in the lobby, like a big party. Everyone was angry about it. Every gig we went to, we got special treatment. I knew somebody at the gig, every gig we went to. You know, we did 2 festivals and everyone's running up to hugging me and they're getting mad about it. I'm like, guys, we got set up early. We got special treatment. We got a green room, you know, an hour early for us, or a
Right.
crew room and the green room an hour early for the band. And you're mad because somebody came up and hugged me? The
Right.
last time these people had seen me, I had had my face shattered and I
Mm.
was going home for facial reconstructive surgery. They were happy to see me succeed.
Yeah.
Be careful because that's what got me fired.
Yeah.
People were mad.
But see,
It
here's
ruined
the
his
thing,
head.
though. Here's
It was
the thing,
horrible.
though, Kenny. And I look at it as a blessing. Obviously, it was a blessing because a week later, you got the Janet gig. But like sometimes, though, we need to be pushed out like that.
It was time.
It was time, and maybe you were going to be so cool and all of that stuff about it that you were going to stick it out as long as you could, which you did. But like sometimes it's time. It had the same thing that happened with me with Chris Isaac, where it was like it was time and it was necessary for me to have gone through all of that silliness, the hate against the positive guy, and then they were like, "Well, are you going to stay with us?" I'm like, "No, I'm not going to
No.
stay. Heck no." But yeah, so maybe it was a bit of a blessing, or a
It
lot of
no,
a
it's
blessing.
beyond a blessing because like my drummer at the time I loved and I still love the dude. It's just our relationship had become stressed.
Yeah,
Things had changed. Politics, other bands you toured with had affected the energy. Going to Europe this way affected the energy, and
yeah,
it opened the door for doubt and discomfort, and it became an uncomfortable thing, you know. So for
yeah.
me, it was actually a blessing in disguise. And like Joshua brought in one of the cats he loved, and it worked for the camp. Man, the camp was a different vibe.
That's
So
right.
you know, and sometimes it's time for that because, and it wasn't so much a loss for me. What it was the universe needed me to go take care of Janet.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you were called in a different direction. I feel the exact same way, man. It
And
was
the
like,
drum tech I replaced has gone on to be a very successful production manager and artist manager, and I love him. And we were like
wait, who
total
are you talking
co-workers.
about? Dan?
No,
No.
Joby Kimball.
Oh, Joby Kimball. Okay.
Yeah, Joby's the best. And uh, you know, sometimes that's the thing. You can't also take it personally here, man. Think of how many monitor engineers have been replaced on the tours you've been on.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
Legends.
or just other positions in general. I mean, on these big, huge pop tours, it's such a big machine that like by the end of a 1 month long rehearsal, you'll probably have 100 people turned over just to get the machine right in all the different departments.
Our first
It's
tour,
mostly relationship based, little skill and able to do the job based, but most of it's personality and relationship based.
yes, but also a lot of it is mindset based. And I'll share this with your peeps so they can learn this, and then we'll finish out the timeline because it's all been a blessed path. I mean, everything's been a step to something else.
That's it.
I've been so blessed. And I let the water flow because I've met so many amazing people doing so that if that's what the universe has planned for me, I'm rolling with it. I'm taking it on as the universe's goal, as God's goal. We're doing this.
Mhm.
So with the third tour I did with Rihanna, the Diamonds tour, the setup was brutal, and the people were having challenges, and they had so much conflict at the beginning of rehearsals that everyone was burnt out and said this was undoable. And the first couple of shows were a mess, and so the crew quit. Like half the crew quit. We'll show them; they'll never succeed. Rest of the crew came in not knowing nothing, man, and we were set up the first day by 1 o'clock. Mindset is everything. Anything can suck if you want it to suck.
That's it.
That tear down from Train could have sucked if I wanted to suck. I could hate all the guys who let me go or I didn't work with anymore. I love Joshua Gunn. He's a great guitar tech, man. I love Tim. I love Sam. I love all the people. Drew, my drummer, I love him, man. Jerry, I love all those people, man. It's what do we call it? Battle. Heat of battle. We yell at each other in heat of battle. Sometimes we go, "You're on my cable!" Roar!
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be able to get your emotional resilience and control, man. Yes, it is often a mindset thing. So speaking of which, what happened from there?
Now Janet, we finished Janet, and then the next.
Which I think is when I first connected with you. By the way, it was when you were just started Janet, maybe.
Just starting with Janet, and we crushed that tour, and then we went and did the Dubai thing. Next leg of the tour was coming, and Janet had a baby, and the tour got canceled. And they were kind enough to take care of us to make sure we could get to our next tour without suffering. And so this Adam Blackstone reached out to me about Puff, and I went and did the Bad Boys Family Reunion 25th anniversary, bro.
I remember you did that, yeah.
Oh, what of the hardest tours, but one of the most rewarding tours. Boots, I love you. Adam Blackstone, sir, I love you, man. I love you, dude. We did a lot of tours together, but that one, that was King Daddy, dude. That was a lot. Because we had to be everything for everybody.
Right, all the artists, right?
Yeah, all the artists, and put together so quickly. We had to be there. I was taking care of Boots and Marcus Kinsey.
Okay.
And at first it was Boots, Gerald, and it'll come to me. But there were 3 drummers that took, but it was mainly Boots and Rex Hardy. Rex, Boots, and Gerald doing drum stage left. I had Stacy Lamont Sindor doing percussion stage right on a stage that was 20 foot high with a big, huge open spot in between. So there was no running back and forth. Yeah. Oh, there were no stairs. Okay. I had to scale it. Thank God Puffs and all these artist security were big, huge dudes and liked me because they would just launch me up the thing and I'd grab the thing and jump over the side, scare the hell out of Marcus. Ah! I'm like, you needed me, sir?
That's so funny, man.
Dude, it was the best time. One time a keyboard died. I jumped over. It freaked him out. And I started dancing with him. We were doing the dance. We pulled out the keyboard together. I handed it down a 22-foot thing to stage, or a 20-foot thing to stagehands. They handed up the keyboard. We slid it in with a dance move, plugged it in, and he starts playing, and the camera was on us. Place went nuts because you can't. It's better to look cool fixing stuff than it is. Like if you walk out there to fix something on the guitar, you better have a drink in your hand and go, sir.
Yeah, you got to be smooth, man.
Lick.
The worst is when techs are running. It's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Don't run. Nobody's paying attention to you.
Act like this is your move in the show. This is your job. You're about to go put this pedal board down for him. Swap them out. There weren't enough patches.
So what happened after Bad Boys?
We went back into Janet.
Yeah.
I did the Janet run. And then after Janet, I needed a break from the road because it was going a lot. And so we went and did Elvis Costello. I did a spring run with Elvis, and then did a couple of different runs with Elvis. I broke my ankle during that time.
Man,
it was a challenge. I've been through a lot, some road accidents. But the cool thing about Elvis is again, I expanded my skill set. Got deeper into Ableton while learning how to take care of Hammonds and Leslies.
Yeah,
learning how to take care of a Vox Continental while programming a R3, a Korg R3 little Korg computer.
Oh, sure.
You know, all little things, connecting everything with MIDI. Oh God, still looking out for Pete Thomas, legends, sweet gentleman. And then after that, COVID hit. Like, dude, we were in Europe, or we were in England, the UK, doing a tour when all that stuff started happening. They were shutting it. Pink, like we ran into Pink's tour in Manchester, and
Yeah.
we're like, "Dude, what are y'all doing here?" And they're like, "We just came out of Spain." And we're like, "Oh my God, really?
Oh
What?
yeah. Rough,
Oh,
rough.
wow.
My friend was rough was on that one.
Oh, no,
Got
this
a show.
guys. Tell me more." Actually, it's Halsey. That was Pink who came in, but also Halsey.
Oh,
The
okay.
Halsey tour that was in Manchester, and like a couple of friends of mine were on it. And here's the other thing, and I'll share this with you, because there were a couple of cats on there that are doing their second tour. They were all Mr. Big Shoes. They turned to me and they go, "You know, we're with Halsey, although a guy your age probably doesn't know who that was." Yeah, I turned that thing down. Okay. I didn't put my nose in. It wasn't my job to have, but I would love the Halsey gig. And then right when they did that, like three guys from the crew go, "Kenny Sharretts," and I turned to them, I'm like, "What's up?" And I'm hanging with their crew, and their lighting guy was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you
Something
don't
to point
really
out,
know
and I'll
who."
stop you, is like, Crusaders, pay attention to this, because this is what we're talking about. I have the relationship mastery masterclass that's in the education vault right now. We talk about this very same thing, and the first relationship that you need to establish and understand that you will always establish is the relationship that you have with yourself and your brand.
Your brand, and that guy's brand sucked. That guy was a douche canoe. And I'm going to see him on other tours, and I'm not going to help him at load in. And
That's
is a
right.
cable unplugged, or I have a cable that's going to help that dude? He's not getting that cable, bro.
That's right. He's definitely not getting the gig. So
No.
the pandemic hits, like everything, things shut down. What did you do to survive the pandemic for
Well,
work?
one, because I've been working with W-2, and I say this to people, unless you are an established person who has consistent work, constant work, and you can handle being an S Corp to where you can handle your money that way, to be pandemic proof, since everyone's like, "Oh, this career was not pandemic proof." Get your W-2 on. Get your W-2 on until you're ready to start walk up and be your S Corp. You can handle your S Corp, you'll never pay taxes again.
Yeah,
But if you're not the S Corp and you ain't ready to be the S Corp, make sure you got your W-2, because unemployment took care of me just like it does sometimes in between gigs. You know, my body needs rest. But the other thing I do is I taught. Look at this, right? I teach you how to tune drums.
yeah,
Here.
yeah. And I want to share links to your stuff, Kenny. By the way, we will get your YouTube channel links, and also he does private tuning and mainly drum tuning lessons, right? Not
Drum tuning,
actually drum playing.
drum playing lessons,
Okay.
drum tuning lessons, and drum programming and teching lessons. Like, if you want to learn the technical sides of what Kenny's teaching, you're a tech, you're a drum tech, you come hit me up for a session.
Yeah.
You know, just like if I'm working with a good drum tech who wants to get more about the crew side of things, I'm going to send him Kenny for the mindset training, because his program's together more than my words could ever be. So I want this drum tech to get the best ideas of what it is to be crew, along with the best ideas of what it is to be a drum tech.
Yeah.
Because there are two different arts. Because that's the thing about my gig with Mickey. It calls into all of it. I do rope drums, skin drums, program triggers, handle a 12-foot guitar in conjunction with my co-tech, Jonathan Coe, doing Ableton. Man, I got to understand how it works so I can be his tech and his assistant. So when Mickey shows up, Mickey's winning.
Yeah.
And both of us together work as a team to give Mickey everything he wants. There's real drums. There's shakeries. There's shakers. There's sometimes getting him a drink right while he's playing in the past, because you see he's trancing on drums and he needs a sip of water, bro.
Is that the gig that you first started doing on the other side of the pandemic?
Absolutely, dude. Crazy, dude.
Very cool. And that obviously came about. I remember you said, was it through Chris again?
No, actually, Cody Arell. Cody
Okay.
called me for this, and I love Cody, and we'd worked together on some train gigs and stuff, and he just said, "Kenny, you are the one person I could think of that can handle this gig," because
Yeah.
I did it, and I'm a carp. I didn't have the drum tech skills he needed, so he yelled a lot. And the
Yeah.
last drum tech that did it didn't have the tech skill, the carp skills, the tech skills, or the touring personality skills to succeed, so he got yelled at a lot.
Yeah.
Kenny, this is your gig, and dude, I made it my gig. I had to fight. The Dead and Company crew had been the crew for a long time.
Yeah.
The guy I replaced, they loved.
Um,
And my sister died 5 minutes before the first show. I
oh,
did with him. I'm sitting there 15 minutes before, getting a call from my niece going, my mom dropped. I'm like, here the EMTs call time of death. I'm like, niece, I've got to go. Here comes my artist. Call your aunt. Put the phone down. handing my artist his ears. Said, "Have a great show, Mickey Hart of the Grateful Dead." My first show in front of 45,000 people at let's see, what baseball stadium were we at?
Yeah. Yeah. What a trip, man. What a trip. Uh,
And you do that,
handling
and you
handling
handle
something
that.
like that, Kenny. How did you handle the? I mean, obviously you have to compartmentalize in that moment, but
Bro, compartmentalizing is everything we do, from getting yelled at in the middle of the gig to stressful moments and not letting them overwhelm you to
boundaries.
boundaries. Dude, listen, what am I going to do? And actually, we were in Virginia. What am I going to do? I'm in Bristow, Virginia. First show at a shed. We weren't in the arenas yet. We're headed up to New York City, and it's going to take a week I can pick my sister up. So I can take these next 4 shows, but I got to go home for a week. We got somebody in place to cover me for a week, but you're coming back. Because here's the deal. My gig with Mickey Hart, you ain't just sending somebody out to cover my gig.
That's right. That's right.
I went to the ranch and trained for almost 2 months of
Right.
broken up weeks in, weeks out, weeks in, weeks out, to study, maintain a relationship, develop the relationship of trust with Mickey, learn how he needs things done. It's a very complicated gig.
Sure.
And there's just so much to it. And so it wasn't like you could just replace me.
Hmm.
And so the one thing I had to do was just handle the show, You do not show your face, do not your slip show, because what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I could go cry about my sister, all the back thing, leave my artist uncovered, or I could just cry when the emotions hit, hold it back, we know, and then when you're done, find your place and cry. Because
Mhm.
you can't change the fact that she's dead. You couldn't change the fact that I couldn't get to her.
Mhm.
Call your niece and make sure your family is taken care of. That's all you can do when you're out on the road and you have that kind of tragedy.
Yeah.
Make sure you and the ones you love are taken care of, because other shows happen. Shows will happen.
The show will go on.
It will go on. They will get somebody else to be my place. It may be horrible for them, but
That's
your
right.
life is what matters. But I knew it was going to be a week before I could do anything. I would have just been standing around with my thumb in my ear,
Yeah.
crying over my
Yeah.
sister's death. Or I could succeed in my career, make
Right.
sure I get home safely, don't screw these people over while they take care of you. Make
Mhm.
sure you take care of your business, and then you come back and you take care of your gig. And it was challenging.
Yeah.
I
Imagine.
missed the bonding section of a tour, those first 7 shows where you bond and find your rhythm.
Yeah.
And I had to overcome all those challenges, but I came back a second time and had great relationships and won. And we had one of the best tours of my life.
Yeah.
It's
I love
magical.
that. Um, and then well, you're not on that gig anymore now, are you?
Well, the dead are the dead, bro. So
No, they're gonna go forever.
there's always gig futures. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because what I did is I did 2 runs. I did a run with the dead, did some stuff with my channel and playing and doing other stuff, because my channel is multifaceted. It's product reviews
That's right.
and instructional videos. And so I have the YouTube Kenny Sharretts. I have my website, kennysharretts.com, where I teach you how to tune drums, where I teach you how to get your kits right and all different ways to do it to get the sound you want every time you tune right on the nose. But
Hmm.
then I also have students. So I just enjoyed teaching, and my teaching just blew up in between the two. So I did that. Came back, did the next Dead tour, and then immediately picked up the Decemberists and went on this teeny tiny tour with the most awesome people, had the most awesome time. It was like finding your new favorite CD. It was a live CD, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's the CD that never left your CD player back in the day, or now you're at your playlist. You just this
Yeah.
new playlist, got to get it right. And at the end of that tour, let all your students carry this through. My keyboard player Jenny, who I love to death, and my drummer John both expressed the same thing. But Jenny said to me straight up, she said, "You know, Kenny, my favorite thing about you is that you've been doing this for 23 years. You work for the dead, and you are the nicest, kindest, most helpful guy on the crew. Nothing is a problem. Everything's a solution. Everything's an opportunity for you to get better. Everything. Like even that was the whole point of my day with the union when the guy brought me through. He was the third union guy that literally took me aside with a little bit of tear in his eye. That he
Hmm.
said, "Hey man, we've been trying to change the game, and these are East Coasters, right?
Yeah.
And we're trying to change the game, and you came and lifted my spirit, Kenny. Is there anything I could do for you?" And of course, we take care of each other, and it was good. But
Hmm.
here at Wolf Trap, he said, "I heard you needed to build a footstool for your keyboard player. Let us take you to this special room." And they opened this door that I had never seen open in Wolf Trap in my years, to the government-funded wood shop. And you're like,
Oh yeah.
ah, and I went in there and we built my keyboard player's little pedal box so she didn't have to reach down to get her pedals anymore.
Nice.
And I learned that you should also include heel space that day. I could have built a better box, but they built it for me.
Yeah.
I had to put it together, but they cut the pieces. They gave me the parts, and that would not have happened without a kind heart, without lifting these
yeah.
people up. My goal is to make sure that my hands go home knowing they kicked ass for me and that we appreciated what they did, that we actually did something special together.
Mhm.
That what they did matter because what they do matters.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. I tell my hands every night how much I appreciate it and that I literally couldn't do it without them because I couldn't.
No, and they are your gold. They're your resource to everything, including sometimes. Dude, I was my first tour with Janet. He wanted to try this special thick top Tama seat. It looked like a big piece of cotton candy. It was red. He wanted the super poof model, but we couldn't find the super poof model. And Tama was out of the super poof model. Well, my friend in New Hampshire, whatever place you expect to find the super poof model nobody has,
Yeah.
had a best friend who had just bought it. So that dude brought it, gave it to John. John had one sent to Tama 2 weeks later. But I had the throne for John, Matt Dido, God bless you. And it was from me making a relationship with him on American Idols. He stayed in touch with me. I ended up going to his art school graduation in Boston because I was there for a show by odds. He
That's
goes, "You
so
coming to
cool.
my graduation?" I was like, "It's my day off. I wanted to stay in my hotel room."
Of course, but that's
That's
what
my
you do.
buddy.
That's
And
right.
dude, he graduated. I was so proud of him. And he's succeeding now on the East Coast doing sales and radio.
All right.
And, he built a crew like your crew people do. And our relationship stayed together. So when I showed up in New Hampshire later, a few years later with Janet Jackson, whatever we needed, we had, including the big poofy top.
Heck yeah.
Bro.
So what were you doing after Dead and Co? I mean, what have you been doing kind of since in your lessons and stuff? What gig, the Decemberist, what did you do after
Oh,
that?
so after I did Decemberist, we came back and we started preparing for the final tour, which was a lot of work. We created, like I said, 165 carried versions. We went and created all these versions of the back wall. I'm about to do a video for DW on all my stuff when I have time. I still got a ton of other videos to make. But I have a video I'm going to make of transform. This was a transformer rack. I could change this whole rack into another rig in under 15 minutes.
Love
And
it.
it'd be a totally different beast. And we had a different rig with a different theme every night. And including like 9 times we built something out of thin air. We added 9 additions, including a chime forest, a giant.
Oh,
Yeah, try hanging 75-pound chimes your artist found in the desert up on a rack on the fly, like 75 to 100-pound chimes, 5 of them
jeez.
on one side of the rack so they could play them without them falling on your artist and killing him. You know what I mean, bro? You work for the Jonas Brothers. You're like, we want the car to fly in from the ceiling. Can you do it?
Yeah.
And you're like, but that's against the law of physics. They're like, yeah, that's great. Do it. And they walk away, and that's it. That's it. You're now making the
You're
car come
doing it.
out of the ceiling.
Oh yeah. We had something not long ago in Vegas with Nick on his piano, and I was like, yeah, well, I'll have to see how I can cut the wood. I'll figure it out. He goes, you'll figure it out. He walked away. He's like, you'll figure it out. I was like, okay, I'll figure it out.
But that's one of the joys we get from a gig. A lot of people get mad about it, get frustrated about it, and they look at me like they don't understand why I'm happy. And
Yeah.
I'll stay late, and I might get yell and grumble when I smash my thumb, or I can't believe this isn't working. I put all this in. The moment I pulled the string on this thing I built called the gondola, he wanted gongs nailed to wood, which is against the laws of physics. Again, a gong's got to resonate, and they have to be able to be played perpendicularly. And I said, but that's against the laws of physics. He goes, I know, make it so, and walked off. And I'm like, ah! The second I pulled the cord into line and hooked the spring, and I went ding, 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 I created an instrument out of thin air.
Yeah.
Magic out of thin air. And our artists push us for that. Sometimes the lighting needs to be greater. Sometimes you need a solution. And it may be hard, but if you put your mind in a positive mindset that we could do this, that was what the universe brought me here for, was this right here.
Oh yeah.
That's when you end up lifting yourself and create something greater than you ever expected. And then you are your own artist, your own career.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Exactly. Well, so what else was there for you up until this moment after that? I mean, this is kind of it, right?
This is what's going on. Like,
I love it.
Here's the beautiful thing with my YouTube channel. I've turned it into like a second little income. It's the lessons are good, and The videos I get paid to make are good, and people send products, and I get to play drums. And so I guess what I'm saying is that, you were talking to people about how to look for greater sources of joy in your career. And one of the things I did was create this channel to teach people my craft.
Yeah.
It's a lot of extra work, but in the process, drum company sponsored me, and it's Rogers Drums, and I helped rebirth a brand of drums that had not existed anymore.
Right.
They've been bought out by CBS and then eventually sold to a Taiwanese company that turned them into toy drums. And
Right.
the brand was forever ruined. And nobody believed in it. It used to be an American institution and some of the finest drums. So I'm a part of the team that is creating videos and content for them to hear these new drums, which are
Yeah.
amazing. I've seen that. Yeah. Come on.
Wicked.
Now, see, also in this room over here with the quiet little drums on it, they're all triggered, which allows me to take my trigger skills and teach people drums. Like I have a
Right.
slate of about 10 students. I teach them when I'm on the road too.
Yeah.
As well as drum tuning and triggering programming through my website. So taking all these skills has helped make me not only employable in my field as a tech, because then you've got the guy who knows all the stuff. Hey, could you take my video? Hey, could you do this? You gonna pay me more? Yes. Okay. Done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is how I make my money on the side, teaching, creating content for sale. I have my YouTube, much like you have Crew Coach. I have my student base. And it's created this secondary thing to where I don't have to tour as much. Now, I have some projects coming up with Mickey. We're going to do what we did last spring, which is every couple of weeks I'm going to go out there. We're going to work on some of his projects.
Yeah.
And then I come back home and work on some projects. And I think they might have some things in the works. They're the dead. You don't know. You don't always know.
Yeah.
And there's some
Oh,
things
they're
coming
going.
up with it, and there's some things coming up with the Decemberists. They've talked to me, whispered in my ear about that they might be doing some shows. You don't know. You don't know. Nobody wants to say 100% till the calendar comes out.
Right.
But right now, what I'm doing is fostering my channel, mentoring my students, and doing what I'm doing with this. Getting better at my craft, learning more about my SEO, about my website, about my craft here, the same way I do as a tech, while upping my triggering game. I'm getting ready to do a triggering clinic for RTOM. Hopefully in union with the Drummers Universe Facebook group. That's a wonderful group of drummers. And we're going to do a video on how to trigger your drums, how to really use this Yamaha EAD10 as the example to show you how to run a trigger, to install a trigger, to find your own mojo to make a trigger work. Just like I did a drum tuning clinic at the Music City Drum Show for Rogers. So I found a way to facilitate myself within the industry through my vendors, that the artist reps that I make friends with at the companies via my YouTube channel. And so I've been doing that and kind of making a living doing that when I'm not doing this. Because right now, this arm don't work at all. I've had surgery to reconstruct my torn rotator cuff again, touring. And so right now I'm out of work through at least February.
Yeah.
At least February, I can't tour like I normally do. Now by February, I should be able to tour. January, but I won't be able to be Mr. Lifted Up in the truck. I'll have to still be careful. But I can teach and I can craft this. And that's the thing. Like, if you're good at your audio craft and you're good at your lighting craft, there's ways you could teach workshops in your town. Find local backline companies to work with when you're not on the road, or at your own shop, develop workshops to bring in new people and find new financial opportunities for yourself, man. And while it may not be a lot, you'd be surprised what a little effort onto a regular monthly workshop on Tuesdays at your audio company can turn into, when all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm doing a weekly shop and I'm making $70 a student and there's 20 students. And I'm doing that 4 times a month while I'm home. Yeah, that paid for the Harley. Because it goes on top of your tour income, and you take advantage of your authority and experience to grow your income and your opportunities. And that's what I've been doing.
Well, I love that. There is always another phase to the career. It's a continuation of you growing into what you do best and the gifts and the blessings and the talents that you have. I do the same thing with Crew Spire and Crew Coach and my books and all that I do. And it's just, it's amazing. It's a calling, actually. And it's what I love to do personally. And it's something like, anybody can do, is give and share with the next person. And I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we have in Crew Coach, and we might see more of you in the future with what we have on the horizon with us. But let me ask you one final thing here, and we'll jump off. If someone's brand new and they're a crusader here is just watching this going, man, I'm interested in doing backline and drum teching, what would be one thing that you want them to know? I know there's many. What's something that you really think that they should take with them if they're watching this?
It's the most dichotomous saying I can come up with, and this is the truth. You don't know everything, but believe in what you know. You don't know anything, but believe in what you know.
Hmm.
Um, and you say it that way. You don't know everything, but believe in what you know, because you don't know anything. Just believe in what you know. You don't know nothing as a backline tech. You don't know jack. You don't know anything. You get to tune guitars for a guy, the greatest guitar players, the last five. Your next dude might like a little different sweetness. He presses the strings a little bit differently. He likes his mocha with a sweetener rather than sugar. There are all kinds of little things that could change the game for you because you are working directly for an artist. And the musos are nutbags. We're all nutbags. We're crazy. We're all crazy. We're the best. But it is that beauty of their unique, nutty personalities that gives you the opportunity to craft your own nuttiness into a career.
No
Because,
doubt.
people look at me and what I do for Mickey, and they're like, well, it's kind of over the top. It's like, no, that's called success. I
Mhm.
want to be the best I could be for him. So
Mhm.
sometimes, as long as it's not abusive, pushing the limits of your craft really can make an opportunity great. And I guess that's what I'm saying with backline text. Your number one goal is the care of their mind.
Mm.
Care of their mind. So again, you call it initiative or intention.
Attention.
I call it being proactively reactive, but it's not about reacting. It's about acting with intention. And I love those words. When you're a backline tech, act with intention,
Mhm.
believing in the skill set you have, because that's what makes your artist believe in you. You could totally screw it up, but if you act with intention and he believes in you and then it wasn't fixable, you're still going to have a job.
Mhm.
If you're not ready and it was fixable and you couldn't fix it, man, you're going home, dude.
Yeah, rightfully so.
And
Well,
because again, that the detail we're talking about is this is the one spot that is about you, your career, your job. You're the one getting paid for this. It's your paycheck. The show is not about you. The needs for the show ain't about you. Your job is to provide for the situation unflinchingly with the best attitude you can imagine. John Mayer's backstage guy, he was with us on Dead Code, JB, John Brown. Bro, I wish I could bottle him up and sell it to every roadie because that dude is the coolest, most together, on it, reactively non-reactive guy. Like but while he's not reacting to something bad, he's already got three solutions in his head. He's
mhm.
probably texting behind his back, making one of them happen without even looking while he's texting and smiling the whole time. His artist never knows.
Yeah, yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
I wish you could bottle me some John Brown. He's amazing, dude.
I
So
love
when so again, anyone getting to a backline, just remember you're in a very special position. Everybody hates you. Your job's to get out of the way. You're in the way, not because they hate you. You're just in the way. You're in their way. It's nothing personal. Don't take it personal. Just get the job done, get out of the way. But remember, you take care of the heart and soul of the artist, of the mind of the artist. It's something special and different from what a lot of the other people on tour do. Treat it as such, and don't be afraid to stand your ground about what that is, because the reality is a lighting guy may need something moved elsewhere, and y'all yelling about it ain't gonna win. But
it.
if you needed to not be sitting where they put it because it's for your artist, because you're protecting your artist, there's a peaceful way for you and lighting guy to find that solution and win. Your
Mhm.
artist never knows, and all of a sudden the energy it creates on the ground where that artist now stands. Oh, that's the magic.
Yeah, that's the magic, man.
That's
Well,
the
Kenny,
magic.
you're the magic, man. Thank you so dang much for sharing with us here in
Yeah,
Crew.
I hope you don't mind my slappy studio. I've just been playing drums, learning how to play with my left foot to teach my skill.
Man, it's beautiful. It's perfect, man. You're beautiful, and I really appreciate you so much. Finally, get to chat in face to face like this, and I have no doubt that we'll do much more things together to help empower this next generation and the now generation, which is one of my biggest things is getting the people that are experienced to care more and to really love the craft and love what they do, because I feel like the work that we do, our labor that we do, is our greatest expression of love. It's our creativity, it's our intelligence, it's our charity, it's all of us. And when you express your love to something that you don't love, then you're going to spin. And I would love to see people, these amazing people, be more connected, sharing their love to where this stops becoming work and it becomes play.
Bro, I'm with you. I'm telling you, I love playing the drums. I'm 50 today, 54 years old.
Happy
So I'm
birthday.
not expecting to get the next hot pop drum gig, but there's a part of your soul that's always in pain watching another drummer play. But I tell you, dude, every time I prepare the palette and successfully kick ass for my crew and my player, and I see my player have a great show, and I know that other drummers are impressed and they love the drum sound and they're learning from my drummer and being inspired by my drummer, and the crowd is lifted and everything's great because I prepared a situation for my drummer or
Mhm.
my keyboard player or my artist to succeed and lift the crowd up. Bro, there is such a joy and value in that. There's no words to describe it. When you sit in the middle of the moment, you're like, this is really happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could care less if I'm playing the drums or not.
Yeah.
I know a lot of
Because
guys
you
think
get
it's
to,
grumpy. Who cares?
you know, you're getting to do what you love to do and use all parts of you, you know. I love
Yeah.
Well, look, that's what we got for this career chat. Again, happy birthday. Thank you so much for sharing with our Crusaders. So much wisdom. Guys, if you're watching this and you have any takeaways, comment below in the comment section, and I'll share it with Kenny, and we'll get some of these takeaways over to him. Any questions that you have as well, just comment below in the video, and I'll make sure that we get these things answered. Also, I'll put the link to Kenny's YouTube and his website and all of his stuff. If you want to connect with him, I encourage you to do it. Reach out to him. He's clearly an open book. He's an awesome guy. And that's what we got. So thanks again, Kenny. I appreciate the heck out of you, man.
Likewise, my brother, it was a pleasure and honor, and I hope something that I've given today helps one of your students, succeed later in life, or helps inspire them to just be better at what they do.
Most definitely, for sure, Kenny. All right, Crusaders, until next time, go get them.